Don't you die on me, goddammit! Marcus Hayes slammed his fist against the woman's chest, doing compressions in the mud while his wheat field burned behind him. 30 seconds ago, she'd had a pulse. Now, nothing. Rain hammered his back. Smoke choked his lungs. His daughter was 300 yards away, watching her father lose another person he'd tried to save. Not again. Not like Rachel. Breathe. He hit her chest again. Once. Twice. The explosion had thrown them 15 feet, and somewhere between the crash site and here, her heart had stopped. Then she gasped. Her eyes flew open, dark, terrified, staring straight through him, like she'd seen hell itself. They tried to kill me, she choked out. They'll come back to finish it. Marcus had pulled a billionaire out of a sabotaged jet. What he didn't know yet was that saving Sophia Lin's life had just painted a target on his daughter's back. Drop your city below. Let's see how far this story reaches. 4:47 a.m. Marcus Hayes opened his eyes in the dark and remembered his wife was dead. 3 years now. Still hit him every morning like the first time. He sat up, boots already laced from the night before, time saver. The bedroom ceiling had a water stain shaped like Texas. 18 months he'd been meaning to fix it. Add it to the list of things slowly falling apart: the house, the truck. Him. Morning, Rach. He set it to the photograph on the nightstand every day. Rachel at 33, arm around 6-year-old Emma at the county fair. Before the cancer. Before the chemo that just made her suffer longer. Before Marcus learned that working 3 jobs couldn't save the people you loved. It just meant you weren't there when they died. The kitchen faucet dripped. Jiggle the handle there. Coffee maker took 2 tries to start. Unplug it, count to 5, plug it back. These small broken things he could fix. The big things. $23,000 in medical debt, mortgage. 2 months behind Emma's inhaler prescription. He'd been stretching to last another week. Those just kept multiplying. $14 in his wallet. Payday Friday. 3 days. He made Emma's lunch. Peanut butter sandwich, apple last granola bar. Wrote on a napkin. Science fair project looks incredible. Proud of you. Dad. When you couldn't be there for dinner, couldn't make the school play, couldn't afford the field trip. At least the kid knew you were thinking about her. 5:30 a.m. Peterson's auto shop. Marcus. Earl looked up from his coffee. Williams sedan's waiting. Transmission's completely shot. I'll have it done by 2. You coming back after? Diner shift starts at 3. Earl shook his head. You're gonna die working like this. Already tried dying, didn't take. Marcus grabbed his coveralls. Besides, I got a daughter to raise. Death's gonna have to wait its turn. The work was clean. Drop the transmission. Identify damaged components. Replace what needed replacing. Cars made sense. You diagnosed the problem. You fixed it. You moved on. Not like life, where fixing one problem just revealed 3 more underneath. His hands moved with precision. 10 years Navy maintaining support vehicles on carrier decks. He'd enlisted at 18, served until Rachel got pregnant. Learned that the world ran on people who knew how to fix things when they broke. You ever think about leaving Maplewood? Earl asked during lunch. You got real skills, Marcus. Could work at a dealership in the city. Better money. Can't leave. Rachel's buried here. Rachel's dead. You're not. Marcus's hands stopped moving. I know she's dead, Earl. I held her hand when she stopped breathing. Don't need reminders. Just saying you got options. Options are for people with money. I got responsibilities. 2:58 p.m. Murphy's Diner. You're late. Margaret Murphy barked. Shift starts at 3. I'm early. Early is on time. On time is late. Late is fired. Good thing I'm early then. Margaret almost smiled. Table 6 wants you. The Hendersons. Jim Henderson waved him over. Marcus, listen. We wanted to ask about Tyler's college applications. You've got that discipline, that work ethic. What do you think colleges look for? Marcus poured coffee. They look for people who don't quit when things get hard. Your son's got that. What he didn't say, Tyler Henderson would do fine because his parents could afford application fees, SAT prep, and tuition that cost more than Marcus made in 3 years. Different worlds, different rules. 4:30 p.m. His phone buzzed. Mrs. Rodriguez. Mijo Emma is doing homework, very focused on her science project. Thanks, Mrs. R. I'll be home by 7. No rush. She is like my own granddaughter. The words stung. Emma deserved better than an elderly neighbor as a stand-in grandmother. She deserved her mother. 9:47 p.m. Home. 14 hours since he'd left. Another day survived. Dad. Emma met him at the door. Look what I figured out. Her science project covered the kitchen table, a model airplane wing, notes about aerodynamics, pressure differentials, lift coefficients. Mrs. Rodriguez helped with the math, but I figured out the curve myself. See, the top of the wing is more curved than the bottom, makes the air move faster on top, creates lower pressure, generates lift. That's why planes fly. Marcus studied the model, the precision of it, the understanding. Mom would have loved this. You think she'd be proud? I know she would. He pulled her close. I'm proud enough for both of us. Emma looked up at him. You look really tired, Dad. I'm fine. You always say that? Because it's always true. Mrs. Rodriguez says you work too much. Mrs. Rodriguez worries too much. Emma's face got serious. Older than 11. Are we going to be okay? Like money-wise? The question hit him like a fist. He'd tried so hard to shield her from it. We're fine, kiddo. I promise. The lie burned his throat, but he held his smile until she went to brush her teeth. Then he opened the letter from First National Bank. Third notice. Foreclosure proceedings will begin if payment is not received within 30 days. Marcus rubbed his eyes. Tomorrow he'd call, ask for an extension, promise to catch up. They'd say no. He'd ask again. They'd say no again. Eventually, they'd take the house. Emma would lose the only home she'd ever known, and Marcus would have failed at the one thing that mattered. He should have sold it years ago, used the equity to pay Rachel's medical bills, but he couldn't. His grandfather built this house in 1952. His father raised him here. Rachel died in the bedroom upstairs. I'm trying, Rach, he whispered to the empty kitchen. I swear to God I'm trying. His phone lit up, severe thunderstorm warning. High winds, heavy rain, possible hail. Marcus checked the windows, made sure the generator was fueled, fell into bed at 11:30. His last thought check, the roof for leaks tomorrow. 11:53 p.m. The sound cut through his sleep like a blade. Not thunder, not wind. Metal screaming through air. Marcus was at the window before his brain caught up. Through the rain, he saw its small aircraft, single engine spiraling. The engine had gone silent. The trajectory was wrong. He'd seen enough Navy crashes to know what came next. The plane disappeared behind the tree line. 2 seconds of silence. Then the sound of the world breaking open. Marcus moved on instinct. Boots, coat, keys. Down the stairs, 3 at a time. Dad? Emma appeared in her doorway. Stay inside. Lock the doors. Call 911. Plane crash in our field. Dad, what? Do it now. The truck's engine roared. He raced down the dirt path into the wheat field. Rain hammering the windshield. Lightning split the sky. The wreckage appeared ahead, fuselage mostly intact, wings sheared off, flames licking up from the engine despite the rain. Marcus abandoned the truck and ran. Aviation fuel, burning metal, smoke. The whole thing could blow any second. The cockpit door was jammed, twisted in the frame. Inside movement. Someone alive. Can you hear me? He shouted. No response. He braced against the fuselage and pulled. The door didn't budge. He pulled harder, hands slipping on wet metal muscles, screaming. The door shifted an inch, 2 inches. The flames crept toward the fuel tank. Marcus wedged his shoulder into the gap and pushed with everything he had. The door shrieked open, 6 inches, 12 inches enough. He reached inside. The pilot was a woman, unconscious, blood running from her forehead, right arm bent wrong, but breathing. Marcus popped the seatbelt and pulled her toward him. Lighter than he expected, he got one arm under her knees, one behind her shoulders, lifted her out. That's when he saw the fuel pooling under the engine, spreading toward the flames. He ran. The fuel ignited, whoosh. The explosion came 3 seconds later. The blast lifted Marcus off his feet and threw him forward. He twisted mid-air, landing on his back, curling around the woman to shield her from the debris. They hit the ground hard. For several seconds Marcus lay there, the woman unconscious on his chest, the plane burning behind them, rain hammering down. His ears rang. His hands were bleeding. His back felt like it had been hit with a bat. But they were alive. He struggled to his feet, lifting her again. His truck's headlights glowed in the distance. Beyond that, the farmhouse. Emma would have called 911, but with the storm, help would take time. This woman needed help now. Marcus carried her through the field boots, sinking in mud with every step. 50 yards. 100. His arms shook with exhaustion. She stirred once, moaning softly, but didn't wake. By the time he reached the porch, his muscles were screaming. Emma threw the door open. "Oh my God! Clear the couch! First aid kit! Move!" Mrs. Rodriguez appeared, hand flying to her mouth. "Dios mío." Marcus laid the woman down as gently as he could. In the light he could see her clearly now. Asian mid-30s, expensive clothes under the flight jacket. Designer watch, crystal cracked. "Is she going to die?" Emma's voice was small. "Not if I can help it." He checked her pulse. Steady, but weak. The head wound needed cleaning. The arm needed stabilizing. Emma, wooden spoons from the kitchen dish towels. "Mrs. R, call 911 again. Critical injury, need them now." His Navy training took over. Stop the bleeding. Stabilize the fractures. Treat for shock. Monitor breathing. He cleaned the wound with quick efficiency, fashioned a splint from spoons and towels, covered her with blankets. "All ambulances are responding to storm accidents," Mrs. Rodriguez reported. "Could be hours. Then we keep her stable." Marcus checked the woman's pupils with his phone light. Equal and reactive. Good sign. But her pulse was weakening. "Dad." Emma knelt beside him. "Her breathing sounds weird." Marcus pressed his ear to the woman's chest. Her heartbeat was irregular, slowing. "No, no, no!" He tilted her head back, checked her airway. Clear. But her pulse gone. Emma stepped back. "Dad, what's wrong?" "Step back now." Marcus started compressions. Hard and fast, the way they'd taught him in the Navy. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. "Come on," he muttered. "Don't you do this." Nothing. He hit her chest harder. "Breathe." Still nothing. Images flashed through his mind. Rachel in the hospital bed, monitors going flat, doctors pushing him aside, doing the same thing he was doing now, failing the same way he was failing now. "Not again," he growled. "Not again, God damn it!" He slammed his fist against her sternum. Once, twice. Her body convulsed. She gasped a horrible rattling sound. Her eyes flew open, wild, terrified, staring straight at him like she'd clawed her way back from death itself. "They tried to kill me." The words came out strangled, desperate. "They sabotaged the plane. They'll come back. They'll finish it." Marcus froze, hands still on her chest. "What, who tried to? Listen to me." She grabbed his wrist with surprising strength for someone who'd been dead 5 seconds ago. "My name is Sophia Lin, CEO of Next Gen Biotech, worth $40 billion, and someone just tried to murder me." Her eyes darted to the windows. "If they find out I survived, they'll come for me. And anyone who helped me." She looked at Emma, standing frozen by the armchair. "I'm sorry," Sophia whispered. "I'm so sorry. I've put you all in danger." Then her eyes rolled back and she collapsed against the couch. Marcus caught her, his mind reeling. Sophia Lin. He'd heard that name. Forbes covers, tech magazines Emma read. And someone had just tried to kill her, in his field, at his house, with his daughter 20 feet away. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Marcus said, his voice deadly calm. "Take Emma upstairs. Lock the bedroom door. Don't come down until I say so. Mijo, what's happening? Do it. Now." As they disappeared up the stairs, Marcus moved to the window. Outside, the storm was breaking, rain softening, thunder moving east. But through the trees, he saw something that made his blood run cold. Headlights. 2 sets moving slowly down the dirt road toward his house. No one came down this road. Not at 1 a.m. Not during a storm. Unless they were looking for something. Or someone. Marcus looked at Sophia unconscious on his couch. Then at the shotgun mounted above the fireplace, his grandfather's loaded, maintained ready. He'd pulled a woman from a burning plane. He'd brought her back from the dead. And now, apparently, he was going to have to keep her that way. Marcus took the shotgun down and moved to the front door. The headlights were getting closer. "Well, Rach," he muttered, chambering around. "Guess I found something else that needs fixing." The first vehicle stopped at the edge of his property. The second pulled up beside it. No one got out. They were waiting. Marcus flipped off the living room lights and stood in the darkness watching. Whatever came through that door, it would find out the same thing Rachel's cancer had learned the hard way. Marcus Hayes didn't quit. Not when it mattered, not ever. The headlights sat there for 3 minutes. No doors opening, no movement. Just 2 vehicles idling at the edge of Marcus's property, engines running, waiting. Marcus stood in the darkness, shotgun barrel resting against the doorframe. His heart hammered, but his hands were steady. 10 years Navy had taught him that fear was just information, your body telling you to pay attention. What you did with that information was what separated the living from the dead. Behind him, Sophia Lin lay unconscious on the couch. Upstairs, Emma and Mrs. Rodriguez were locked in the bedroom. And out there, someone who'd tried to murder a billionaire was deciding their next move. Then the headlights went dark. Both vehicles simultaneously. Marcus's finger moved to the trigger guard. The dome light of the first vehicle flickered on for maybe half a second, long enough for Marcus to see 2 figures inside. Then darkness again. A car door opened. Closed softly. Then another. Footsteps on gravel, deliberate and slow. Marcus moved away from the window, positioning himself where he had a clear line to the door, but couldn't be seen from outside. The shotgun felt heavy in his hands. He hadn't pointed a weapon at another human being since his last deployment 11 years ago. Hadn't wanted to. But if someone came through that door, looking to finish what they'd started with Sophia. The footsteps stopped at the porch steps. A long silence. Then a knock. 3 sharp raps. Marcus didn't move. Another knock, harder this time. "Mr. Hayes." A woman's voice, professional, controlled. "My name is Diana Reeves. I'm head of security for Next Gen Biotech. I'm here for Sophia Lin." Marcus stayed silent, weighing it. Could be legitimate. Could be the people who'd sabotaged the plane using a woman's voice to seem less threatening. "I know you're in there, Mr. Hayes. I know Ms. Lin is with you. And I know you're probably holding a weapon right now, which is exactly what I'd be doing in your position." Smart. Acknowledging the threat, validating his response. "I'm going to show you my credentials," Diana continued. "I'm reaching into my jacket pocket, slowly. No sudden movements." Through the window, Marcus saw a small flashlight click on, illuminating a leather credential wallet. Next Gen Biotech Security. Diana Reeves, Chief of Personal Protection. Photo ID that matched the woman holding it, late 30s, dark skin, military bearing. Could still be fake. Professional enough fake to be convincing. "How do I know you are who you say you are?" Marcus called through the door. "You don't. But if I wanted to hurt Ms. Lin, I could have done it a lot easier than knocking on your door at 1 in the morning. I'd have breached already. Fair point. Ms. Lin has a medical alert implant, Diana continued. When the plane went down, it transmitted her location and vitals to our emergency response system. We've been tracking her since the crash. Her heart stopped for approximately 43 seconds at 12:47 a.m., then restarted. That was you, wasn't it? CPR? Marcus's jaw tightened. If they'd been tracking her the whole time, they knew exactly where she was. And if they'd wanted her dead, she'd be dead already. I'm opening the door, Marcus said. But I'm keeping the shotgun. You make any move I don't like, we're going to have a problem. Understood. Marcus unlocked the door and opened it 6 inches, keeping the shotgun visible. Diana Reeves stood on the porch, hands at her sides, empty. She wore tactical clothing, black cargo pants, fitted jacket boots designed for movement. Behind her, a man stood at attention, similar build, similar bearing. Both had the posture of people who knew how to handle themselves. That's Carter, Diana said, nodding toward her partner. Former Marine Force Recon. I was Army Special Forces. We've been with Ms. Lin for 3 years. Our job is to keep her alive, which you've done a much better job of tonight than we did. There was genuine regret in her voice. The plane crash wasn't an accident, Marcus said. No, it wasn't. Diana's expression hardened. Someone got past our security protocols, sabotaged the fuel line. We're still working out how, but right now my priority is getting Ms. Lin to a secure medical facility. She needs a hospital. She needs a private medical team at a location that hasn't been compromised. The people who did this will be monitoring hospitals' police scanners' emergency services. If we take her to County General, we might as well paint a target on her back. Marcus considered this. You're saying someone's still trying to kill her? I'm saying until we know who sabotaged that plane and whether they know she survived, we treat every location as hostile. Diana's eyes flicked past Marcus to where Sophia lay on the couch. How is she? Broken arm concussion, possible internal injuries. She was dead for about 40 seconds. I got her back, but she needs real medical attention. We have a trauma team standing by at a secure facility, 20 minutes from here. Diana paused. But I need to ask you something first. When Ms. Lin regained consciousness, did she say anything? Anything at all? Marcus thought about Sophia's desperate words. They tried to kill me. They'll come back to finish it. She said someone sabotaged the plane. Then she passed out again. Diana nodded slowly, like she'd expected that answer. Did she say who? No. Did she mention Project Phoenix? The name meant nothing to Marcus, but the way Diana said it, careful watching his reaction, told him it was important. No. What's Project Phoenix? The reason someone wants her dead. Diana glanced at Carter, some silent communication passing between them. Mr. Hayes, I need to be straight with you. The prototype Ms. Lin was transporting when the plane went down is worth approximately $3 billion. It's medical technology that could change the treatment of paralysis, ALS, spinal injuries. And there are people, competitors, foreign governments, bad actors who would kill to possess it or destroy it. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. The prototype. Was it on the plane? Encrypted on a secure tablet. We've recovered the wreckage. The tablet was destroyed in the explosion. So whoever did this, they failed. The prototype's gone. Diana's expression didn't change. The physical tablet is gone. But Ms. Lin has an eidetic memory. Every line of code, every specification, every algorithm, it's all in her head. As long as she's alive, Project Phoenix exists. Jesus Christ. Marcus had pulled a $3 billion walking database out of a burning plane and brought her to his house, where his 11-year-old daughter was sleeping upstairs. I need to move her, Diana said. Now, before whoever did this realizes she survived and comes looking. Those vehicles that pulled up, you sure they were yours? Diana's head snapped toward the road. What vehicles? Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. 2 sets of headlights. Showed up about 5 minutes ago. They've been sitting there watching the house. In one fluid motion, Diana had a weapon in her hand, appeared from nowhere, trained on the darkness beyond the porch. Carter moved to flank his own weapon drawn. How long? Diana asked, voice clipped professional. 3-4 minutes. Then the lights went dark. Someone got out. That's when you knocked. Diana's jaw clenched. That wasn't us. We came from the West Access Road. Those vehicles are on the main approach. Then who? Get down. The living room window exploded inward. Marcus hit the floor on instinct, the shotgun clattering from his hands. Diana was moving before the glass stopped falling, returning fire through the shattered window in controlled bursts. Carter had already disappeared from the porch, circling to flank. Upstairs, Emma screamed. Marcus crawled toward the stairs, glass cutting his hands, his knees. Another window shattered kitchen this time. Someone was lighting up the house from multiple positions. Emma, he shouted. Stay down. Don't come out. Diana dropped behind the couch, pulling Sophia's unconscious body to the floor with one arm, while maintaining suppressive fire with the other. How many exits? Front door, back door, through the kitchen basement access outside. They'll have the basement covered. Kitchen's compromised. She fired 3 more rounds. We're going out the front through their position. It's what they won't expect. That's insane. It's tactical. Diana yanked a radio from her belt. Carter status. 2 shooters east side. Suppressed weapons professional spacing. I'm engaging. More gunfire, distant but sharp. Diana grabbed Marcus by the shirt. Listen to me. I'm going to draw their fire. When I move, you grab Ms. Lin and run straight for my vehicle. Keys are in the ignition. You drive like hell, and you don't stop until you hit the address I'm about to give you. I'm not leaving my daughter. Your daughter is safest if they're chasing us instead of searching the house. They want Ms. Lin, not you. We give them a target they follow. You stay here, they breach, and everyone dies. You understand? Marcus understood. He hated it, but he understood. Mrs. Rodriguez has a phone. She'll call the real police once we're clear. Your daughter will be fine. Diana pressed something into his hand, a key card. 2247 Industrial Parkway. Gray building, no signs. Show them this card. They'll know what to do. She didn't wait for confirmation. She was up and moving, laying down, covering fire as she went through the front door in a tactical role that would have made his old drill instructor proud. Gunfire erupted from 3 directions. Marcus grabbed Sophia, hauling her over his shoulder in a fireman's carry. She groaned, but didn't wake. He stumbled through the door, down the porch steps, across the yard toward where Diana's vehicle sat with the engine running. Bullets tore through the air above his head. He kept moving, legs, pumping, lungs burning. Diana was somewhere to his right. Muzzle flashes marking her position as she engaged targets Marcus couldn't see. He reached the vehicle, armored SUV, military grade, and yanked the back door open. He shoved Sophia inside as gently as speed allowed, then threw himself into the driver's seat. The windshield starred impact, not penetration. Bulletproof glass. Marcus slammed the transmission into drive and floored it. The SUV lurched forward, tires spitting gravel. In the rearview mirror, he saw Diana executing a fighting retreat toward Carter's position. Their muzzle flashes coordinated, professional, covering each other like they'd done this 1,000 times. Then he was on the main road, headlights off, pushing 80 down a rural highway in the dark, a comatose billionaire in the back seat, and his daughter screaming for him a mile behind. Marcus wanted to turn around. Every instinct told him to go back, get Emma, protect her. But Diana was right. If the shooters followed him, Emma was safe. If they stayed, she was a target. So he drove. His hands shook on the wheel. Blood from the glass cuts soaked into his jeans. In the back seat, Sophia stirred, mumbling something incoherent. 20 minutes. Diana said 20 minutes to the facility. Marcus made it in 12. The building was exactly as described, gray industrial, no signage. He pulled up to a reinforced gate and held the keycard to a scanner. The gate rolled open. Armed guards materialized from the shadows, weapons trained on the vehicle, until they saw Marcus's face and Sophia unconscious in the back. Then they were moving with practiced efficiency, extracting her, loading her onto a gurney, shouting medical jargon. Marcus half understood from his Navy days. A doctor appeared, 50s calm, eyes surgeon's hands. "You're the one who did CPR." "Yeah. She's alive because of you. We'll take it from here." He turned to his team. "Get her to Trauma Bay 2. Full workup, CT scan, portable X-ray. I want vitals every 2 minutes." They disappeared into the building, leaving Marcus standing in the parking lot, covered in blood and glass, his truck God knew where, his daughter alone. He pulled out his phone. 3 missed calls from Mrs. Rodriguez. 1 text from a number he didn't recognize. "Emma is safe. Police en route to your location. Diana." Marcus sat down hard on the curb and put his face in his hands. 6 hours ago, he'd been worried about a mortgage payment and a dying transmission. Now he'd been in a firefight, saved a billionaire's life twice, and abandoned his daughter to armed attackers to protect a woman he'd never met before tonight. "Mr. Hayes." He looked up. A woman in a white coat stood in the doorway. Young Indian name tag reading, Dr. Patel. "Ms. Lin is stabilized. We've set the arm stitched, the head wound started fluids. She's conscious and asking for you." Marcus stood on legs that felt like they belonged to someone else. "She's asking for me. She's very insistent." Dr. Patel smiled slightly. "She says she owes you her life. Twice now, apparently." They led him through corridors that looked more like a military installation than a medical facility. Reinforced walls, security checkpoints, cameras everywhere. The trauma bay was state-of-the-art monitors, beeping softly, equipment Marcus didn't recognize. Sophia lay in the bed, her right arm casted and elevated, a bandage wrapped around her head, but her eyes were clear-focused, tracking him as he entered. "Mr. Hayes." Her voice was hoarse, but steady. "I understand I died in your living room." For about 40 seconds. Then you decided to come back. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. "Inconvenient timing to die, I suppose. Thank you for the second chance." "Third chance, technically. Pulled you out of the plane, brought you back to life, and drove you through a gunfight. Then, I'm in your debt 3 times over." She paused, studying him with those sharp, calculating eyes. "Diana told me about the shooters. Your daughter Emma, is it she's safe? Local police secured your property. Mrs. Rodriguez and Emma are being relocated to a safe house until we can assess the threat level." Marcus felt some of the tension drain from his shoulders. "They're okay." "They're fine. Shaken, but fine." Sophia shifted in the bed, wincing. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes. I never intended to bring danger to your family. If I'd known the plane was compromised." "You didn't know. And even if you had, I still would have pulled you out. That's not something you walk away from. Most people would have." "I'm not most people." Sophia studied him for a long moment. "No, you're not." She glanced at the door, then back to Marcus. "The people who shot at your house tonight, they weren't random criminals. They were professionals. Military-trained, well-equipped, coordinated. Which means whoever hired them has serious resources. Who would want you dead badly enough to blow up your plane? That's a longer list than you'd think. Competitors who want to steal or destroy Project Phoenix. Foreign governments who want to control the technology. Even elements within my own company who think I'm taking too many risks." She touched the bandage on her head carefully. "When you're worth $40 billion and holding technology that could change the world, you accumulate enemies." "What is Project Phoenix?" Sophia hesitated, weighing how much to tell him. "It's a biomedical neural implant. It restores motor function to people with spinal injuries, paralysis, degenerative diseases. We're talking about giving mobility back to people who've lost it. Giving voice to people who can't speak. It's not just medical technology, Mr. Hayes. It's freedom." The way she said it, the quiet conviction, the personal stake in it, told Marcus there was more to the story. Why you? Why are you the one flying around with prototypes in the middle of the night? Sophia's jaw tightened. Because 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with early-stage ALS. The doctors gave me 5 to 7 years before I lose motor function entirely. Project Phoenix started as my attempt to save myself. It became my attempt to save everyone like me. Marcus sat down slowly in the chair beside her bed. Jesus. Yes, well, Jesus hasn't been particularly helpful so far, so I've had to rely on science. She said it with bitter humor, but Marcus could see the fear underneath. Very few people know about my diagnosis. My grandfather. My head of security. Now you. Why tell me? Because you saved my life 3 times tonight, and you deserve to know what you're protecting. Sophia's expression turned serious. The people who sabotaged my plane will try again. They'll keep trying until either I'm dead or Project Phoenix is destroyed. Which means anyone associated with me is now a target. Including Emma. Including Emma. Sophia held his gaze. I can offer you protection. Safe house security detail relocation if necessary. Or you can walk away right now and I'll make sure no one ever connects you to tonight. Diana can create a cover story, make it look like I was alone when the plane crashed. You and Emma go back to your lives like none of this happened. Marcus thought about the mortgage notice sitting on his kitchen table. The $14 in his wallet. The transmission that needed replacing. The simple, terrible grind of his life before tonight. Then he thought about Sophia's words when she'd clawed her way back from death. They tried to kill me. They'll come back to finish it. And he thought about Emma's science project, her bright mind that deserved every opportunity, her future that was being crushed by his poverty and his limits. If I walk away, Marcus said slowly, what happens to Project Phoenix? I rebuild it from memory. Start over. It'll take time, but I'll get there. And the people trying to kill you, they'll keep trying. And when they succeed, Sophia's expression didn't change. Then a technology that could help millions of people dies with me, and my grandfather buries his only granddaughter next to her parents. Marcus stood pacing to the window. Outside dawn was breaking over San Francisco. He'd driven farther from Maplewood than he'd realized. I need to see Emma first, make sure she's really okay. Of course, Diana's bringing her here within the hour. And then, Mr. Hayes, I'd like to offer you a job. Marcus turned to face her. A job. You have mechanical skills, military training, and a demonstrated ability to stay calm under pressure. Next-Gen Biotech has a research division that could use someone with your practical expertise. Someone who understands how things work in the real world, not just in theory. I'm a mechanic. I fix transmissions and change oil. You're a problem solver who kept me alive when everyone else with advanced degrees and expensive equipment failed. That's worth more than a mechanical engineering degree. Sophia paused. The position comes with a salary of $120,000 a year, full benefits, and housing assistance. Emma would have access to our educational outreach programs, including college scholarships. Marcus's mind went blank. $120,000. That was more than he made in 4 years combined. Why? He finally managed. Because I don't trust easily, Mr. Hayes. But I trust you. You had every reason to leave me in that plane. You had every reason to let me die on your living room floor. You had every reason to run when the shooting started. But you didn't. You chose to help even when it put you at risk. That's not something you can hire. That's character. I have a daughter to think about. I know. That's why I'm offering housing in San Francisco, enrollment in one of the best schools in the state, and security protection for both of you until this threat is neutralized. Sophia held his gaze. I'm not asking you to risk Emma's safety, Mr. Hayes. I'm asking you to let me give her the future she deserves. The future she deserves. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Before he could answer, the door opened. Diana entered, and behind her, "Dad!" Emma ran to him, and Marcus caught her, pulling her close. She was crying, shaking, but she was whole. She was safe. "I'm sorry, kiddo," he whispered into her hair. "I'm so sorry. Mrs. Rodriguez said you had to leave. She said bad people came. I was so scared." I know. But you're okay now." Emma pulled back, looking up at him with Rachel's eyes. "Who is she?" She nodded toward Sophia. "The lady from the plane. Her name's Sophia. She's someone who needs help." Emma studied Sophia with that sharp, assessing gaze that saw too much. "Are you okay? You were really hurt." Sophia smiled, and it was genuine. "I'm better now, thanks to your father. He's a very brave man." "I know. He's the bravest." Emma looked back at Marcus. "Are we in trouble?" The police came and asked Mrs. Rodriguez lots of questions. "No, kiddo. We're not in trouble. We helped someone, and now some things are going to change." "What kind of things?" Marcus looked at Sophia, then at Diana, then back at his daughter. "I don't know yet, but we're going to figure it out together." "Okay." Emma nodded, pressing her face back against his chest. Over her head, Marcus met Sophia's eyes. She'd offered him a lifeline, a future, a chance to give Emma everything he couldn't provide on his own. But it came with a price: danger, uncertainty, a world he didn't understand, filled with people who killed for technology and profit. Then again, what did he have to go back to a foreclosed house? 14-hour workdays, watching his daughter's potential get crushed by his limitations. "I need time," Marcus said, "to think about it." Sophia nodded. "Take all the time you need. But while you're thinking, you and Emma stay here, safe, protected, no obligations. And if I say no, then Diana arranges transportation back to Maplewood, we create a cover story that protects you, and you never hear from me again. Your choice, Mr. Hayes. Always your choice." Marcus held his daughter close and wondered if Rachel was watching from wherever the dead went. What would you do, Rach? But he already knew the answer. Rachel would tell him to stop being stubborn, to stop punishing himself for surviving when she didn't, to give Emma every chance, every opportunity, every bit of the future Rachel wouldn't be there to see. Marcus took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "Let's talk about this job." The job conversation lasted 3 hours and changed everything Marcus thought he understood about his life. They moved to a conference room on the 3rd floor, Sophia in a wheelchair despite her protests. Marcus with Emma at his side, Diana stationed at the door like a sentinel. Dr. Patel had cleared Sophia for the meeting on the condition that it lasted no more than 90 minutes. Sophia had ignored that entirely. "The position is Director of Practical Applications," Sophia explained, sliding a tablet across the table. Emma immediately gravitated toward it, her fingers moving across the screen with the ease of someone who'd grown up with technology. "You'd oversee the integration of theoretical designs into real-world functionality. My engineers are brilliant, but they think in abstractions. You think in solutions." Marcus picked up the contract. The salary figure hadn't been a mistake. $120,000 annually with performance bonuses that could push it higher. Health insurance that actually covered things. Education stipend for Emma. Housing allowance. "I fix cars," he said. "I don't know anything about neural implants or biotech or whatever else you're doing here. You know how things break and how to fix them. You know what works under pressure and what fails. That's worth more than a dozen PhDs who've never had grease under their fingernails." Sophia leaned forward, intense despite her injuries. "Project Phoenix is beautiful in theory, Marcus. But theory doesn't help the veteran who can't hold his daughter. Theory doesn't help the teacher who can't write on the blackboard anymore. I need someone who can make it work in the real world for real people under real conditions." Emma looked up from the tablet. This is amazing. You're building something that helps paralyzed people move again. That's exactly what we're doing, Sophia said, and her whole demeanor shifted when she talked to Emma. Softer, more open. The implant reads neural signals' thoughts, basically, and translates them into commands that artificial limbs or exoskeletons can execute. We're giving people their independence back. Like Mr. Chen in my class, Emma said. He has MS. He can barely hold a pencil anymore. With Phoenix, he could write again, paint, play piano, anything he could think the technology could help him do. Emma's eyes went wide. That's incredible. Marcus watched his daughter's face light up with the kind of excitement he hadn't seen since before Rachel died. The kind of engagement with the world that came from believing you could actually change it. Dad, you have to take this job. Emma, it's not that simple. Why not? You're always saying you wish you could do something that matters. This matters. She gestured at the tablet. These people need help, and you can help them. That's what Mom would want, right? To help people. The invocation of Rachel hit Marcus squarely in the chest. Emma was right, of course. Rachel had dedicated her life to environmental science because she believed in leaving the world better than she found it. She would have jumped at this opportunity. But Rachel hadn't been shot at. Rachel hadn't pulled a dying woman from a burning plane. Rachel hadn't seen what Marcus had seen in the last 12 hours. Can I talk to you? Marcus said to Sophia. Alone for a minute. Emma started to protest, but Sophia cut in smoothly. Diana, would you mind showing Emma our robotics lab? I think she'd appreciate the exoskeleton prototypes. Diana nodded. Come on, kid. You're gonna love this. Emma looked to Marcus for permission. He nodded, and she followed Diana out, already peppering her with questions about servo mechanisms and neural feedback loops. Once the door closed, Marcus turned to Sophia. I need you to be straight with me. No corporate speak, no sales pitch. What am I actually getting into here? Sophia met his gaze without flinching. A war. Against who? Victor Chen, CEO of MedCorp Industries. My primary competitor, former colleague, and the man who's been trying to destroy me for the last 5 years. You think he sabotaged your plane? I think he's one of 3 people with the resources and motivation to do it. The others are a Chinese state-sponsored tech conglomerate that wants Phoenix for military applications, and a shadow investment group that's been trying to acquire NextGen through increasingly hostile means. Marcus absorbed this. And you want me working here with Emma while these people are actively trying to kill you? I want you and Emma protected by the best security team money can buy, living in a secured facility with resources to give her opportunities she'd never have in Maplewood. Sophia paused. But I won't lie to you, Marcus. There's risk. There's always risk when you're trying to do something that threatens powerful interests. The question is whether the risk is worth the reward. For you, maybe, not for my daughter. Your daughter is 11 years old and already designing aerodynamic models that would impress my lead engineers. In Maplewood, she'll go to an underfunded public school, probably end up at a state college if you can afford it, and spend her life wondering what she could have been if she'd had the chances she deserved. Sophia's voice was quiet, but relentless. Here she has access to the best STEM programs in the country. Mentorship from people at the top of their fields. A future limited only by her talent, not your bank account. You're using my daughter to manipulate me. I'm showing you what's possible. There's a difference. Sophia leaned back, pain flickering across her face. My parents died when I was 10. Car accident. My grandfather raised me on his Air Force pension, working 3 jobs to keep me in school. I know what it's like to watch someone you love sacrifice everything for you. I know what it's like to have potential and no resources to develop it. And look how you turned out. $40 billion and people trying to murder you. I also employ 17,000 people, most of whom have excellent healthcare and retirement packages. I've created technology that's helped millions of disabled people live fuller lives. And yes, I've made enemies. But I've also made a difference. She held his gaze. "What difference are you making fixing transmissions in Maplewood, Marcus?" The words stung because they were true. Marcus had spent 3 years in survival mode, keeping his head down, just trying to make it through each day. He hadn't thought about making a difference since Rachel died. He'd just thought about not failing Emma the way he'd failed to save Rachel. "I need guarantees," he said finally. "About Emma's safety." "You'll have them." Armed security secured transport, monitored communications. Diana's team is the best. "They didn't stop your plane from being sabotaged." Sophia's expression hardened. "No, they didn't. Which is why we're implementing new protocols. Compartmentalized information, mandatory security screenings, rotating teams. What happened last night will not happen again." "You can't promise that." "You're right. I can't. But I can promise that Emma will be safer here with professional protection than she would be in Maplewood, with you working 14-hour days and hoping nothing goes wrong." Sophia paused. "The people who shot at your house last night know who you are now, Marcus. They know you helped me. Walking away doesn't erase that knowledge. It just means you're facing the threat alone, without resources, without backup." Marcus felt the trap closing. She was right. He'd made himself a target the moment he pulled her from that plane. Going back to Maplewood just meant facing whatever came next with a shotgun and prayer, instead of trained security and contingency plans. "What about Mrs. Rodriguez?" "She was there too. Diana's team has already relocated her to a secure apartment in Sacramento with her sister. Pension supplement to cover the disruption to her life. She's protected." Of course they had. Sophia thought 3 moves ahead while Marcus was still processing move 1. "How long?" Marcus asked. "How long until this threat is neutralized?" "I don't know. Could be weeks. Could be months. Victor's patient when he wants to be, and we still don't have concrete proof he's behind the sabotage." "But you're sure it's him?" 90% sure. The timing lines up with Project Phoenix going into final testing. The method, sophisticated but not military grade, suggests corporate espionage rather than state actors, and Victor's been circling for years trying to acquire my technology one way or another. Marcus stood and paced to the window. Below, he could see a courtyard where people in lab coats moved between buildings. Normal people doing normal work, unaware that their CEO had nearly died last night. "I need to talk to Emma." "Of course." Marcus found his daughter in the robotics lab, her hands literally inside an exoskeleton prototype while a young engineer explained the servo mechanics. Her face was transformed, alive with curiosity and engagement in a way Marcus hadn't seen in years. "Dad?" She pulled her hands free. "Look at this." The servos respond to muscle contractions, but Dr. Kim says with Phoenix, they could respond directly to brain signals. Isn't that incredible? Dr. Kim, a Korean woman in her 30s, smiled. "Your daughter has excellent instincts, Mr. Hayes. She identified a design flaw in our elbow joint in about 5 minutes that took our team 3 weeks to find." "It's not a flaw exactly," Emma said quickly. "Just an inefficiency in the gear ratio. If you shift the fulcrum point by maybe 6 millimeters, we'd reduce energy consumption by 15%, Dr. Kim finished. "Exactly what we concluded." Marcus watched his daughter bloom under professional attention and realized Sophia had been right about everything. Emma didn't belong in Maplewood. She belonged here with people who understood her, challenged her, gave her room to grow. "Can we talk, kiddo? Just us." They found an empty office. Emma sat in a chair that was too big for her, swinging her legs, still vibrating with excitement. "This place is amazing, Dad. Did you see the robotics? And Diana showed me the neural interface prototypes. They're like science fiction, except they're real." "I know. It's pretty incredible." Marcus sat across from her. "But Emma, I need you to understand what we're talking about here. This isn't just a new job. This is a whole new life. New city, new school, new everything. And there are people, bad people, who are trying to hurt Sophia. which means if we do this, we could be in danger too. Emma's excitement dimmed slightly. Like the people who shot at our house. Yeah, like them. But we'd be protected, right? Diana said. They have security. They do, but nothing's guaranteed, Em. I can't promise you'll be completely safe. Emma was quiet for a moment, her expression serious. Then she said something that broke Marcus's heart and mended it simultaneously. Mom wasn't safe either. She had cancer and all the doctors and all the medicine, and she still died. Nothing's guaranteed, Dad. You taught me that. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Yeah, I guess I did. So, if nothing's guaranteed anyway, shouldn't we try to do something that matters? Something Mom would be proud of. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You've just been too tired to notice. The casual honesty of it hit Marcus hard. She was right. He'd been so consumed with survival that he'd stopped seeing Emma as a person with her own thoughts and dreams and understanding of the world. What do you want, Emma really want? She didn't hesitate. I want to stay. I want to learn from the people here. I want to help build things that help people. She paused. And I want you to stop working 3 jobs and actually have time to be my dad again. I've always been your dad. I know. But you've been tired, Dad. Stressed, Dad. I want regular Dad back. The one who used to build model planes with me and tell jokes and didn't look like he was carrying the whole world on his shoulders. Marcus pulled her into a hug, and she came willingly, wrapping her thin arms around his neck. Okay, he whispered. We'll try it. But if things get too dangerous, if you're ever scared or uncomfortable, we leave. Deal. Deal. They shook on it, her small hand disappearing into his calloused one. When they returned to the conference room, Sophia was reviewing something on her tablet, while Dr. Patel checked her vitals and scolded her about overdoing it. She looked up when they entered, reading the answer on Marcus's face. We're in, he said, but I have conditions. Name them. Emma's safety comes first, always. If your security team thinks she's at risk, she goes to a safe location immediately. No arguments, no delays. Agreed. I want regular updates on the threat assessment. I'm not making decisions blind. You'll have full access to Diana's security briefings. And if I ever think this is wrong for Emma, we walk. No penalties, no guilt trips, no trying to convince me otherwise. Sophia nodded. You have my word. Marcus looked at his daughter, who was practically vibrating with anticipation, and then at Sophia, who'd just offered him a future he'd stopped believing existed. Then I guess I need to sign some paperwork. The next week was a blur of orientation paperwork and adjustment. NextGen set them up in a secured apartment building in downtown San Francisco, 2 bedrooms, modern kitchen, a view of the bay, that made Emma gasp when she first saw it. The rent alone would have eaten Marcus's entire Maplewood salary. Here it was covered. Emma started at a private school that had a waiting list longer than Marcus's arm, but Sophia had made a single phone call, and suddenly there was an opening. The first day, Emma came home overwhelmed but exhilarated, talking a mile a minute about teachers who actually understood advanced mathematics and science labs with equipment that actually worked. Marcus spent his days in orientation meeting engineers who looked at him skeptically until he started asking questions that cut to the heart of their design problems. By the 3rd day, they were seeking him out, showing him prototypes, asking for his input on everything from housing durability to user interface ergonomics. You're causing quite a stir, Sophia told him during a Friday afternoon meeting. She was out of the wheelchair now, moving with careful precision, her arm still in a cast, but her color better. Doctor, Martinez told me you identified a heat dissipation problem in our power supply that could have caused failures in field testing. The ventilation design was too theoretical. Looked good on paper, wouldn't survive actual use. Sweat, moisture, temperature fluctuations, you need to account for reality, not ideal conditions. Exactly what I've been telling them for months. Sophia smiled. You're going to fit in well here, Marcus. Still getting used to people calling me that instead of, hey you, or Hayes. You prefer Hayes. I prefer Marcus. Just take some adjustment. They were in Sophia's office glass walls, overlooking the city minimalist furniture walls covered with patents and prototypes. Despite the modern aesthetic, there were personal touches. Photographs of an elderly Asian man with a young Sophia beside vintage aircraft, a model of an F-86 Sabre on the bookshelf, a framed quote in Chinese characters. Your grandfather. Marcus nodded toward the photos. Chen Wei, 81 now, still sharp as ever. He flew fighter jets in Korea, then became an aerospace engineer. Raised me after my parents died. Sophia's expression softened. He's the reason I learned to fly. Said if I was going to build technology, I needed to understand the engineering principles firsthand. Smart man. The smartest I know. He wants to meet you, actually. The man who pulled his granddaughter from a burning plane. I didn't do anything special. You keep saying that. You're wrong, but you keep saying it. Sophia moved to the window, favoring her injured side. Victor made his move today. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. What kind of move? Public relations. Press conference announcing a partnership with 3 major hospitals to develop safe, rigorously tested neural interface technology. Didn't mention next-gen by name, but the implication was clear. We're rushing dangerous technology to market while he's being responsible. Is he being responsible? No. He's trying to undercut our FDA approval by creating doubt in the medical community. Sophia's jaw tightened. It's effective. We've already had 2 hospital partnerships request additional safety reviews. Can he actually stop Phoenix from launching? He can delay it. Create enough bureaucratic friction that we burn through our capital before we reach market. Then, when we're vulnerable, he swoops in with an acquisition offer. She turned to face Marcus. Or he tries something more direct, like sabotaging planes. Diana has proof it was him. Not yet, but she's getting closer. One of the shooters from your farmhouse was identified through ballistics. Former Blackwater contractor now works freelance for the highest bidder. Diana's tracking his financial records, seeing who paid him. Marcus thought about the bullets tearing through his living room, Emma screaming upstairs, and felt cold anger settle in his gut. What do you need from me? Keep doing what you're doing. Make Phoenix work in the real world. The best revenge against Victor is success. Sophia paused. And Marcus? Thank you. For taking the risk. For trusting me with Emma's safety. I know what you're sacrificing. I'm not sacrificing anything. You're giving us opportunities we'd never have otherwise. You're giving up your home, your community, everything familiar. Marcus thought about the farmhouse, the grease-stained coveralls, the 14-hour days that had been slowly killing him. Sometimes the familiar isn't worth keeping. That night, Marcus helped Emma with her homework, actual challenging homework that required real thought instead of busy work. They ordered Thai food from a place down the street that Emma declared the best thing she'd ever eaten. After she went to bed, Marcus stood at the window looking out at the city lights and called the one person he needed to talk to. Mrs. Rodriguez, it's Marcus. Mijo. Her voice was warm, relieved. I've been so worried. How are you? How is Emma? We're good. Really good, actually. How are you? Diana's people treating you okay? Like a queen. My sister can't believe all this. A nice apartment money to cover everything. These next-gen people, they take care of their own. I'm glad. I'm sorry you got pulled into this. Don't apologize. I'm just happy you and Emma are safe. She paused. This is a good thing, Marcus. A new start. Rachel would be so proud. The mention of Rachel made Marcus's throat tight. You think so? I know so. She always said you were wasting your talents in that auto shop. Said you could do anything if you just believed in yourself. I believed in keeping food on the table and a roof over Emma's head. And now you can believe in more. That's what Rachel wanted. For both of you to live, not just survive. After they said goodbye, Marcus sat in the dark living room thinking about survival versus living. For 3 years, he'd been in survival mode, work, sleep, worry, repeat. The idea of actually living, of having space to think about something beyond the next bill or the next shift, felt foreign. His phone buzzed. Text from Sophia, Project Phoenix Live Demonstration Monday. Want you there. Your practical input could be valuable. Also, Emma's school called. She impressed her science teacher so much, he wants to recommend her for an advanced placement program. Told them to discuss it with you first. Marcus read the message twice. A week ago, he'd been worried about stretching Emma's asthma medication. Now she was being recommended for advanced placement at one of the best schools in the state. He typed back, "I'll be there Monday. And yes to discussing the program. Thanks for everything." The response came immediately. "You earned everything you're getting, Marcus. Sleep well?" Marcus went to check on Emma before bed. She was asleep with the textbook on advanced mathematics still open beside her notes, scrawled in her careful handwriting. He gently removed the book, pulled the blanket over her shoulders, and stood there watching her breathe. "We're gonna be okay, kiddo," he whispered. Better than okay. For the first time in 3 years, he actually believed it. Monday's demonstration was scheduled for 2 p.m. in NextGen's main presentation hall. Marcus arrived early to find the space already buzzing with activity engineers doing final checks on equipment, medical staff prepping the test subject, Diana's security team scanning every entrance and exit. Sophia stood at the center of it all, directing operations with quiet authority despite the cast on her arm. She'd traded the hospital scrubs for a tailored suit, her hair pulled back every inch. The CEO. "Marcus." She waved him over. "I want you to meet someone." The man beside her was in his 60s, confined to a wheelchair, his hands resting motionless in his lap. But his eyes were sharp, intelligent, watching everything. "This is James Peterson, retired Marine injured in Afghanistan 8 years ago. Spinal cord damage left him paralyzed from the chest down." Sophia placed a hand gently on the man's shoulder. "James has been part of our testing program for 6 months. Today, he's going to show the FDA review board what Phoenix can do." James's voice was steady, controlled. "Ms. Lin tells me you're the one who convinced her engineers to redesign the housing unit, made it lighter, more durable. Just made some suggestions. Those suggestions mean I can wear this thing for 8 hours without getting pressure sores or heat exhaustion. That's the difference between theory and practice, Mr. Hayes. Thank you." Marcus shook the man's hand, the left one, which had limited but functional movement. "You're the one doing the hard work. We all do our part." James looked up at Sophia. "I'm ready when you are, ma'am." The demonstration began at 2 p.m. sharp. 27 people in the audience: FDA officials, medical reviewers, hospital administrators, and Diana's security team, disguised as technical support. Marcus stood at the back, watching. Sophia's presentation was clinical, precise, walking through the technology step by step. Neural signal acquisition, pattern recognition algorithms, command translation protocols. She made it sound simple, which Marcus knew it absolutely wasn't. Then came the live demonstration. James was fitted with the Phoenix prototype, a sleek band around his head, barely visible under his hair, connected wirelessly to an exoskeleton frame attached to his wheelchair. Dr. Patel explained the calibration process, while James sat motionless, his face composed. "Mr. Peterson," Sophia said quietly, "whenever you're ready." James closed his eyes, concentrating. Nothing happened for 5 seconds. Then his right hand, completely paralyzed for 8 years, lifted slowly from the armrest. Fingers curled into a fist, extended again, rotated at the wrist. Someone in the audience gasped. James opened his eyes and smiled. That never gets old. For the next 20 minutes, he demonstrated fine motor control that shouldn't have been possible. Picking up a pen, writing his name, typing on a keyboard, drinking from a glass of water without spilling a drop. Marcus watched the FDA officials' faces shift from skepticism to wonder to careful professional assessment. This wasn't theoretical anymore. This was real. After the demonstration during the Q&A session, one of the FDA reviewers, a stern woman in her 50s, raised her hand. "Dr. Lin, this is impressive work, but I have to ask about safety protocols. We've heard concerns from competitors about rushing to market without adequate long-term testing." Sophia's expression didn't change. "We've conducted over 6,000 hours of testing across 73 subjects. Every safety protocol has been exceeded. We have 18 months of longitudinal data showing no adverse effects, no signal degradation, no neural damage. I'm happy to provide the complete data set for your review." And the concerns about corporate espionage. The rumors that competitors have been attempting to steal or sabotage your technology. Marcus saw Sophia's jaw tighten, almost imperceptibly. "I can't comment on ongoing security investigations. What I can tell you is that NextGen has invested heavily in protecting our intellectual property and ensuring the safety of our research subjects. Phoenix will not be compromised." The reviewer pressed harder. "But there was an incident last week, wasn't there? A plane crash involving you personally?" The room went very quiet. Sophia met the woman's gaze directly. "There was a mechanical failure in a private aircraft I was piloting. I was extremely fortunate to survive thanks to a civilian who pulled me from the wreckage. The NTSB is investigating the cause. What that incident has shown me is that life is unpredictable, and we don't have time to waste when there are people suffering who could be helped right now." She gestured toward James. "Mr. Peterson spent 8 years unable to hold his grandchildren, unable to write a letter, unable to feed himself. Every day we delay Phoenix is another day someone like James waits for independence. I refuse to let bureaucratic caution or competitor manipulation slow down technology that can change lives." The reviewer looked like she wanted to push further, but the lead FDA official cut in smoothly. "Thank you, Dr. Lin. We appreciate your transparency and your commitment to safety. We'll need to review the complete dataset before making our final determination, but this demonstration has been very encouraging." After the officials left, Sophia slumped slightly against the podium, exhaustion finally showing. Marcus approached. "You okay?" "I'm fine, just tired of fighting battles on multiple fronts." She straightened. "But we did well today. James was perfect, the technology performed flawlessly, and we didn't give Victor any ammunition to use against us. The question about the plane crash that came from him, didn't it? Almost certainly. He wants to create doubt about my judgment, my stability. Make the FDA question whether I'm fit to lead this project." Sophia's eyes hardened. "He's going to be disappointed." Diana appeared at Sophia's elbow. "We need to talk. Privately." The three of them moved to a secure conference room. Diana activated a signal jammer before speaking. "We got confirmation. The contractor who shot up Marcus's farmhouse received payment from a shell company traced back to Victor Chen's personal accounts. It's not enough for a criminal case, too many layers of separation, but we know it was him." Sophia's knuckles whitened on the table edge. "He sent armed men to Marcus's home. To a house with a child inside. He sent them to recover you and eliminate witnesses. They failed, which means he knows Marcus is now working for you, which makes him a continued target." Marcus felt ice in his veins. Emma has a 3-person security detail at school and a 2-person detail at the apartment," Diana said quickly. "She's safe. But we need to assume Victor will escalate. The demonstration today was a success, which means we're closer to FDA approval. He's running out of time to stop Phoenix through legal means." "What's his next move?" Sophia asked. "Unknown. But I'm recommending we increase security across the board. No more public appearances without advanced security sweeps. No predictable routines. And Marcus," Diana turned to him, "you need combat training. Basic self-defense, situational awareness, emergency protocols. I was Navy for 10 years. I know how to handle myself." "You were a mechanic in the Navy. When's the last time you were in an actual firefight?" Marcus thought about the bullets tearing through his farmhouse his complete reliance on Diana's expertise to survive. Point taken. Training starts tomorrow, 6 a.m. After Diana left, Marcus and Sophia sat in silence for a long moment. "I'm sorry," Sophia said finally. "This is exactly what I promised wouldn't happen. Emma being put at risk because of my choices. Emma's safer here than she would be in Maplewood without protection. You said it yourself, Victor knows who I am now. Geography doesn't change that." "No, but staying here means staying in the line of fire." Marcus thought about Emma's face when she talked about the robotics lab. The excitement in her voice when she described her new school. The way she'd laughed over Thai food, really laughed for the first time since Rachel died. "We're not leaving." Sophia looked at him with something like relief. "You're sure? I pulled you out of that plane because it was the right thing to do. I took this job because it was the right choice for Emma. Victor Chen trying to kill us doesn't change either of those facts. Most people would run." "I'm not most people. You keep forgetting that." Sophia smiled, genuine and warm. "No, you're really not." That night, Marcus lay awake in the unfamiliar apartment, listening to the city sounds outside his window and thinking about the choices that had led him here. A week ago, he'd been a nobody mechanic in a dying town, working himself to death for a daughter who deserved better. Now he was employed by a billionaire living in San Francisco, helping develop technology that could change millions of lives, and being hunted by a corporate rival who'd already tried to kill him once. It should have terrified him. Instead, for the first time in 3 years, Marcus Hayes felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Diana's combat training started at 6 a.m. in a gym Marcus hadn't known existed in the next-gen building's basement. The space looked like something from a military installation. Padded floors, training dummies, weapons lockers that Diana unlocked with her fingerprint. "We're starting with situational awareness," she said, circling him like a predator assessing prey. "Most people die because they don't see the threat coming. You survived the farmhouse attack through luck and my intervention. Luck runs out." "I had a shotgun." "You had a shotgun you didn't fire. How many rounds were in it?" Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. He didn't know. He'd grabbed it off the wall and held it, but in the chaos he'd never actually checked. "That hesitation gets you killed," Diana said. "From now on, you treat every weapon like your life depends on knowing its exact status. Because it does." For the next 2 hours, she put him through drills that left him sweating and frustrated. Hand-to-hand combat basics. Pressure points, how to break holds, how to use everyday objects as weapons. Marcus had military training, but it was over a decade old and focused on vehicle maintenance, not close-quarters combat. "You're overthinking," Diana said after throwing him for the 5th time. "Your body knows what to do. Your brain just needs to get out of the way." "My brain's what kept me alive in the Navy." "Different kind of survival. You're not fixing engines under controlled conditions anymore. You're protecting your daughter in an environment where threats look like business suits and carry briefcases instead of rifles." That landed. Marcus stopped thinking and started reacting. By the end of the session, he'd managed to counter one of Diana's attacks and nearly got her in a hold before she reversed it. "Better?" she said, not even breathing hard, while Marcus gasped for air. "Tomorrow we work on firearms. You need to be comfortable with more than a shotgun." Marcus showered in the facility's locker room and arrived at his office by 8:30 to find 3 engineers waiting with a prototype that had failed overnight testing. The neural interface keeps losing calibration after 6 hours of continuous use. Dr. Martinez explained, frustration evident. The signal degrades, commands get delayed, the whole system becomes unreliable. Marcus examined the unit, turning it over in his hands. Heat buildup. "We thought that initially, but the thermal sensors show normal operating temperatures. Not external heat, internal component friction." Marcus pointed to the servo mechanisms. "These micromotors are running constantly, making tiny adjustments to maintain signal fidelity. After 6 hours, the lubricant breaks down from the friction, efficiency drops. calibration drifts. The engineers looked at each other. "We never considered lubricant degradation," Dr. Martinez admitted. "It seemed too mundane." Mundane problems kill elegant solutions every time. Marcus grabbed a tablet and started sketching. You need either a better lubricant that can handle sustained use or a redesigned motor assembly that reduces friction points. Probably both. By noon, they had a plan. By evening, they had a working prototype. Dr. Martinez looked at Marcus with something approaching awe. "You just solved a problem we've been struggling with for 3 months, in 6 hours. I just asked the right questions. You guys did the actual engineering." "Don't sell yourself short, Marcus. Sophia was right about you." Marcus worked until 7 p.m., then headed home to find Emma already there, doing homework at the kitchen table, with a security guard named Chen stationed discreetly by the door. The man nodded to Marcus and slipped out, giving them privacy. "How was school?" Marcus asked, grabbing leftovers from the fridge. "Amazing. We started advanced physics today. Mr. Richardson, he's the teacher. He actually gets excited about equations, like genuinely excited. It's kind of weird, but also kind of great." Marcus smiled, warming up the food. "You like it there?" "I love it there, Dad. Everyone's smart, but not in a show-off way, and nobody makes fun of me for knowing stuff." She paused. "Is that bad? Then I'm happy we left Maplewood." "No, kiddo. That's exactly what I wanted. For you to have a place where you fit." Emma was quiet for a moment, then asked the question Marcus had been dreading. "Do you think Mom would be mad that we left her behind?" Marcus sat down across from her. "Your mom isn't in Maplewood, Emma. She's not in that cemetery. She's in here." He touched his chest, and here he touched her forehead. "We didn't leave her behind. We brought her with us. I don't want to forget her. You won't. I promise you won't." Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. "But she wouldn't want us stuck in the past either. She'd want us living, not just surviving. That's what we're doing now." Emma nodded, wiping her eyes quickly. "Sophia said I could visit the neural engineering lab tomorrow after school. She said they're working on applications for kids with cerebral palsy, and she thought I might have ideas." "You want to go?" "Really bad. Is that okay?" "Of course it's okay. Just stay with your security detail and text me when you get there." "Dad, I'm 11. I know the rules." But she was smiling when she said it. The next afternoon, Marcus was in a meeting reviewing Phoenix's production timeline when his phone buzzed with a text from Emma at the lab. "This is so cool. They're letting me help with testing protocols." He smiled and pocketed the phone, then noticed Sophia watching him from across the conference table. "Emma?" she asked. "Yeah." She's excited about the cerebral palsy applications. She should be. Dr. Kim says Emma's observational skills are exceptional. She notices things our engineers miss because they're too close to the work. She gets that from her mother. Rachel could look at an ecosystem and see connections nobody else saw. Sophia's expression softened. "You must miss her terribly." "Every day. But it's different now. Less sharp. More like an old scar instead of an open wound." The meeting continued production schedules, FDA approval timelines, hospital partnership negotiations. Everything was progressing ahead of schedule, which made Marcus nervous. In his experience, when things went too smoothly, it meant you'd missed something. His instinct proved correct 3 days later. Marcus was walking Emma to school, a routine Diana had insisted on 2 security guards trailing at a discreet distance, when a black sedan pulled up alongside them. The window rolled down, and Victor Chen looked out at them with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Hayes, what a coincidence." Marcus put himself between Emma and the car. "Not much of a coincidence when you're following us." "Following implies stealth. I'm being quite open about this conversation." Victor's gaze shifted to Emma. "You must be Emma. I've heard you're quite the engineering prodigy. My company has excellent programs for talented young people, much better than what Sophia's offering." "We're not interested," Marcus said flatly. "You haven't heard my offer yet. $200,000. Consulting fee for your insights on Phoenix's practical applications, plus a full scholarship for Emma to any school in the country, completely separate from your employment situation." Marcus felt his jaw clench. "That's a bribe." "That's fair compensation for valuable expertise. Sophia's paying you what $120,000 I'm offering, nearly double, plus your daughter's entire education funded. All for a simple conversation about design modifications you've implemented." The answer's no. Victor's smile faded. "You're making a mistake, Mr. Hayes. Sophia's company is built on unstable ground. Her health is deteriorating. Her technology is untested in real-world conditions. When Next Gen collapses, and it will, you'll be left with nothing. I'm offering you a way out." I said no. "Think about Emma. Think about her future. Loyalty to Sophia is admirable, but is it worth sacrificing your daughter's opportunities?" Marcus leaned down to the car window, his voice low and hard. "You sent armed men to my house. They shot at my property with my daughter inside. You nearly killed Sophia, and now you're pretending to care about Emma's future. Get the hell away from us before I forget Diana's training and do something I'll regret." Victor's expression turned cold. "You're choosing the wrong side, Mr. Hayes. When this ends badly, don't say I didn't warn you." The window rolled up, and the sedan pulled away. Marcus stood there shaking with rage until Emma tugged his hand. "Dad, are you okay?" "I'm fine, kiddo. Just dealing with a bad person." That was the man who tried to hurt Sophia, wasn't it? The one Diana was talking about. Marcus looked at his daughter's perceptive face and decided she deserved the truth. Yeah, that was Victor Chen. And if he or anyone working for him ever approaches you, you run. You get to the nearest security guard, you call me, you make noise. Understand? Emma nodded seriously. Understood. Marcus called Diana the moment Emma was safely inside the school building. "Victor just approached us. Direct Contact offered me $200,000 to sell him information about Phoenix." Diana cursed softly. "That's escalation. He's getting desperate. I'll inform Sophia and increase your security detail. From now on, you don't go anywhere without at least 3 guards. That's excessive." Victor broke protocol by making direct contact. That means he's either running out of time or running out of patience. Either way, he's unpredictable now. Unpredictable is dangerous. When Marcus arrived at Next Gen, he found Sophia in her office, her expression grim as Diana briefed her. "He's making his move," Sophia said. "The FDA approval is scheduled for next week. If Phoenix gets approved, Victor loses his window to stop us through regulatory manipulation, so he's pivoting to direct intimidation." "He threatened Emma," Marcus said. "Not directly, but the implication was clear." Sophia's face went hard. "That crosses a line." "Every line's already been crossed," Diana interjected. "Sabotage, attempted murder, corporate espionage. Threatening a child is just the next logical step for someone with no moral boundaries." "Can we prove any of it?" Marcus asked. "Actually prove it in a way that would get him arrested." Diana shook her head. "We have circumstantial evidence, shell company transactions, the contractor who we can't definitively link to Victor's direct orders. Not enough for criminal charges. Maybe enough for a civil suit, but that takes years and proves nothing. So he just gets away with it. Unless we catch him in the act of something undeniable," Sophia said. "Which is why I'm proposing we give him an opportunity." Diana and Marcus both looked at her. "You want to use yourself as bait," Diana said flatly. "I want to announce a public demonstration of Phoenix. Full media coverage, live presentation, complete technical specifications shared with the medical community. Everything Victor's been trying to steal handed to him on a silver platter." "That's insane," Marcus said. "You're inviting him to attack you." "I'm inviting him to make a mistake. Victor's smart, but he's arrogant. If he thinks he can sabotage the demonstration and discredit Phoenix publicly, he'll take the shot. And when he does, Diana's team will be waiting. Diana considered this. It could work, but the risk to you is enormous. The risk to everyone I care about is already enormous. At least this way, we're controlling the battlefield. Sophia looked at Marcus. I won't do this without your support. You've got more skin in this game than anyone. Marcus thought about Victor's cold smile, his veiled threats, the way he'd looked at Emma like she was a bargaining chip instead of a person. What do you need from me? I need you to finalize the Phoenix production specifications. Make sure every unit is perfect, because we're only getting one shot at this demonstration. And I need you to trust that Diana and I know what we're doing. And Emma and Mrs. Rodriguez get relocated to a secure facility outside the city until this is over. Non-negotiable. Marcus hated the idea of being separated from his daughter, but he understood the necessity. She's not going to like it. She doesn't have to like it. She just has to be safe. That evening, Marcus had the hardest conversation he'd had since telling Emma her mother was dying. It's only for a few days, he explained, sitting beside her on the couch. Just until the demonstration is over and things settle down. You're lying, Emma said, and her directness was so much like Rachel it hurt. You don't know how long it'll be. You don't even know if this plan will work. You're right. I don't know. But I know you'll be safer away from here, and that's what matters. What about you? You'll be here in danger, and I'll be stuck somewhere safe feeling useless. You won't be useless. You'll be doing the most important job there is, staying alive, so I have something to come back to. Emma's eyes filled with tears. This is because of that man, the one in the car. This is because of a lot of things. But yeah, mainly him. I hate him. I know, kiddo. Me too. Emma was silent for a long moment. Then she asked quietly, Are you going to die like Mom did? The question gutted him. No. I'm not going to die. You can't promise that. You're right. I can't. But I can promise I'm going to do everything in my power to come back to you. And I've got good people watching my back. Diana, Sophia, a whole team of professionals. I'm not alone in this. Emma wiped her eyes. When do I have to go? Tomorrow morning. Mrs. Rodriguez is going with you. Diana's setting you up in a place with internet, video games, all the books you could want. It's basically a vacation without the fun part. Emma almost smiled at that. Will you call me? Every day. Multiple times if they'll let me. The next morning, Marcus watched Diana's team escort Emma and Mrs. Rodriguez to an armored SUV. Emma looked back at him, once her face pale but determined, and Marcus felt his heart crack. She'll be fine, Sophia said quietly, appearing beside him. Diana's best people are with her. I know, doesn't make it easier. No, it doesn't. Sophia paused. My grandfather used to say that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being terrified and doing what needs to be done anyway. You're very brave, Marcus. I'm terrified. I know. So am I. They stood together in silence, watching the SUV disappear into San Francisco traffic. When's the demonstration? Marcus asked. 4 days. That gives us time to finalize everything and for Victor to plan whatever he's planning. You really think he'll take the bait? I think his ego won't let him resist. He needs to prove he's better than me, smarter than me. A public failure of Phoenix would be too tempting to pass up. Marcus turned to face her. And if something goes wrong, if he gets past Diana's security, then you get yourself and as many people as possible out of that building. Phoenix isn't worth anyone's life. You really believe that? Sophia met his eyes. I have to believe that. Otherwise, I'm no better than Victor willing to sacrifice people for technology. The next 4 days were brutal. Marcus worked 18-hour days finalizing Phoenix units, testing and retesting every component, making sure there was zero chance of legitimate failure. The only thing that got him through was the nightly video calls with Emma. I'm so bored, she complained on day 2. There's nothing to do here except read and watch TV. Sounds terrible. You're being forced to relax. It's not relaxing when I know you're in danger. I'm fine, Em. Surrounded by security guards working in a building that's basically a fortress. Nothing's going to happen to me. You're a bad liar, Dad. Yeah, I know. On the 3rd night, Sophia invited Marcus to her office for what she called a final review, but felt more like a farewell. If this goes wrong tomorrow, she said, pouring them both whiskey from a bottle that probably cost more than Marcus's truck, I want you to know I'm sorry. For pulling you into this. For putting Emma at risk. For dragging you into a war that isn't yours. It became mine the moment I pulled you out of that plane, Marcus said, accepting the glass. I made that choice. Nobody forced me. You made that choice before you knew what it would cost. Doesn't matter. I'd make it again. Sophia studied him over her glass. Why you don't owe me anything? Because it was the right thing to do, and because... Marcus paused, surprised by his own honesty. Because somewhere along the way, this stopped being about obligation and started being about friendship. You're a good person, Sophia. You're trying to help people. That's worth fighting for. Even if it costs you everything. I've already lost everything once. Losing it again doesn't scare me as much as living with the knowledge that I could have helped and didn't. Sophia's eyes glistened. Rachel was lucky to have you. I was lucky to have her. And now I'm lucky to have Emma. And I guess... He managed a smile. I'm lucky to have a billionaire genius who crashed into my wheat field and turned my life upside down. Sophia laughed, the sound breaking the tension. When you put it that way, it sounds almost romantic. If this is romance, I've been doing it very wrong. They finished their drinks in comfortable silence. Two people on the eve of battle finding connection in shared fear and shared purpose. The morning of the demonstration, Marcus arrived at NextGen at 5 a.m. to find the building transformed into a fortress. Diana's security team had swept every room, installed additional cameras, positioned plainclothes officers throughout the facility, and established multiple evacuation routes. We're as ready as we can be, Diana told him during the final briefing. But remember, if shooting starts, you get down and you stay down. Your job is to survive, not to be a hero. I'm not a hero. You're the man who ran into a burning plane. You're exactly a hero, which makes you dangerous to yourself. Promise me you'll be smart. Marcus promised, though they both knew he'd break that promise in a heartbeat if Sophia's life was on the line. The demonstration was scheduled for 2 p.m. By noon, the presentation hall was filled with reporters, medical professionals, FDA officials, and hospital administrators. Marcus recognized several faces from medical journals Emma had shown him. People at the top of their fields who'd come to see Phoenix unveiled. He also recognized the 3 men in the back row who didn't look like medical professionals. They looked like Victor's people, watching, waiting, assessing. Diana saw them too. She moved through the crowd with practiced ease, positioning her team strategically, creating overlapping fields of fire without being obvious about it. At 1:55 p.m., Sophia took the stage. She wore a dark blue suit, her hair pulled back, her casted arm now in a professional-looking sling. She looked confident, powerful, completely in control. Marcus knew she was terrified. Thank you all for coming, Sophia began. Today we're going to show you the future of neural prosthetics, not in theory, not in concept, in practice with a live subject who's been using Phoenix successfully for 8 months. James Peterson wheeled himself onto the stage to applause. The Phoenix unit was visible on his head, now sleek and minimal, connected to an exoskeleton that looked more like athletic wear than medical equipment. For 8 years I couldn't hold my grandson, James said, his voice steady. I couldn't write my wife a letter. I couldn't feed myself. Phoenix gave me back my life. Not a simulation of a life. Not an approximation. My actual life. The demonstration that followed was flawless. James walked across the stage. He picked up a pen and wrote his name. He shook hands with audience members. He demonstrated fine motor control that would have been impossible with traditional prosthetics. Marcus watched from the wings, monitoring the crowd, looking for any sign of trouble. The three men in the back hadn't moved. Diana's team had them surrounded without seeming to. Then during the Q&A session, one of the medical professionals, a Dr. Marcus didn't recognize, stood and asked a question that made the room go silent. "Dr. Lin, can you explain why your testing protocols don't include long-term neurological impact studies? Given your own diagnosis with ALS, isn't there a conflict of interest in rushing this technology to market?" Sophia's expression didn't change, but Marcus saw her hand tighten on the podium. "My medical condition is irrelevant to Phoenix's efficacy. Our testing protocols exceed FDA requirements. We have 18 months of longitudinal data showing zero neurological impact. If you'd like to review the complete data set, it's available to credentialed medical professionals. But you have a personal stake in this technology's approval," the doctor pressed. "Your company's valuation depends on it. Your own survival may depend on it. How can we trust that patient safety is your primary concern rather than financial or personal interests?" The question was designed to wound, and it landed. Marcus saw Sophia's facade crack just slightly. "My personal stake," she said quietly, "is exactly why you can trust me. I'm not developing Phoenix for profit. I'm developing it because I know what it's like to lose control of your own body. I know the terror of watching your independence slip away, and I refuse to let that happen to anyone else if I can prevent it." She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was stronger. "Yes, I have ALS. Yes, Phoenix could help me, but it could also help the 450,000 Americans living with spinal cord injuries, the 30,000 people diagnosed with ALS each year, the millions suffering from conditions that rob them of mobility. If you think my personal stake makes me less qualified to do this work, you're wrong. It makes me more qualified because I actually understand what's at stake." The room erupted in applause. Not polite applause, real sustained applause that drowned out whatever the doctor had planned to say next. Marcus felt pride surge through him. Sophia had turned Victor's attack into her greatest strength. Then the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in immediately, bathing the room in red. People screamed. Diana's voice cut through the chaos. "Everyone stay calm. Security is investigating the power failure. Please remain in your seats." Marcus moved toward the stage, fighting against the crowd. He couldn't see Sophia in the confusion. Couldn't see James. Couldn't see gunfire. 3 shots suppressed, but unmistakable. From the back of the room where Victor's men had been sitting. Diana's team returned fire. The crowd panicked, people running for exits, stumbling over chairs, screaming. Marcus pushed through to the stage and found Sophia on the ground, Diana covering her with her body. "Are you hit?" Marcus shouted. "No, James." James was still in his wheelchair, unharmed but terrified. Marcus grabbed the chair and started pushing toward the nearest exit. Diana moved with them, weapon drawn, scanning for threats. They made it to a service corridor. Diana barked into her radio. "All units converge on Presentation Hall. Shots fired. Suspects fleeing East Corridor. I need medical to staging Area 2 and evac vehicles at the north entrance now." More gunfire echoed through the building. Diana shoved Sophia and Marcus into a storage room. "Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone but me or Carter." She was gone before Marcus could argue. In the darkness, Marcus could hear Sophia's ragged breathing. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine, James." "I'm okay, ma'am," James said. "Just scared out of my mind, but okay." They sat in silence, listening to the chaos outside. Gunfire, shouting, running footsteps, then silence. Long, terrible silence. Marcus's phone buzzed. Text from Diana clear. "Suspects neutralized. Medical en route. Stay put." 5 minutes later, Diana opened the door. She had blood on her jacket, not hers from the look of her. "It's over. We got 2 of them. The third got away, but Carter's team is tracking him." "Casualties?" Sophia asked. 3 wounded, none critical. Your security protocols saved lives. Diana looked at Sophia with something approaching respect. You called it perfectly. Victor couldn't resist. Did we get proof? Better. We got one of the shooters alive, and he's already talking about who hired him. Sophia sagged against Marcus. It's really over. Not yet, but we're close. The aftermath took hours. Police interviews, FBI involvement, medical treatment for the wounded. The press had a field day: attempted assassination at medical technology demonstration, corporate espionage, turned violent billionaire CEO targeted by rival. By midnight, Victor Chen was in FBI custody charged with conspiracy to commit murder, corporate espionage, and about a dozen other crimes. His shooter had given a full confession in exchange for a reduced sentence, providing documentation of payments orders, the whole conspiracy. Marcus sat in Sophia's office as dawn broke over San Francisco, both of them exhausted, running on adrenaline and relief. Diana's bringing Emma back this morning, Sophia said. Secure transport, full escort. She'll be home by noon. Thank you for keeping her safe. Thank you for trusting me with her safety. Sophia was quiet for a moment. The FDA called. Emergency approval for Phoenix. After what they saw today, James staying calm, the technology working perfectly even during an attack, they said there was no question about efficacy or safety. That's amazing. It should feel amazing. Right now it just feels exhausting. You almost died today, again. You're allowed to feel exhausted. Sophia smiled wearily. We both almost died. You ran toward gunfire instead of away from it. I was getting James out. You were protecting people, like you always do. She stood and moved to the window. The city was waking up below them, normal people starting normal days, unaware of the battle that had been fought in their midst. I've been thinking about your farmhouse in Maplewood. Marcus looked up, surprised by the subject change. I know you still have it. I know the bank's been threatening foreclosure. And I know you've been too proud to ask for help. Sophia turned to face him. I'd like to buy it. Not take it from you, buy it, clear the mortgage, restore it properly, and hold it in trust for you and Emma, so you always have a place to go back to if you want. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Sophia, let me finish. You gave up everything to work here. Your home, your community, the life you knew. I can't give any of that back, but I can make sure you don't lose it permanently. Please, let me do this. Marcus thought about the farmhouse, about Rachel's grave in the Maplewood Cemetery, about the life he'd built and lost and left behind. On one condition, he said finally. Anything. You stop thanking me for saving your life. I didn't save you because I wanted gratitude or compensation or anything else. I saved you because it was the right thing to do. And everything that's happened since the job, Emma's opportunities, all of it, that's not payment for a debt. That's friendship. Friendship doesn't keep score. Sophia's eyes glistened. Deal. They shook on it, and Marcus felt something settle in his chest. A sense of rightness he hadn't felt since Rachel died. His phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Diana says we're leaving in 10 minutes. I missed you so much, Dad. See you soon. Marcus smiled. I need to get home. Emma's on her way back. Go. Take the day. Hell, take the week. You've earned it. Marcus made it to the apartment 20 minutes before Diana's SUV pulled up. He was waiting on the street when Emma jumped out and ran to him, throwing her arms around his waist. I was so scared, she said into his chest. Diana told me what happened. She said there was shooting. It's over now. We're safe. Victor's in jail. Phoenix got approved and we can go back to normal. Emma pulled back and looked up at him. Dad, our normal changed. We're not going back to Maplewood, are we? No, kiddo, we're not. This is home now. Good, because I like it here. And I like Sophia. And I like who you are when you're not working yourself to death. Marcus laughed, feeling lighter than he had in years. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You've just been too tired to notice. They went upstairs together, Emma chattering about her 4 days in lockdown, and Marcus realized something profound. For 3 years he'd been surviving, working, struggling, fighting to keep his head above water. He'd forgotten what it felt like to actually live, to have purpose, beyond just making it through another day, to have hope for a future that was better than the present. Sophia had given him that. Not just with money or opportunity, but with trust. She'd trusted him to help build something meaningful. She'd trusted him with her life, her company, her dreams. And in return, Marcus had found something he'd thought he'd lost forever when Rachel died. He'd found a reason to believe in tomorrow. 6 months after Victor Chen's arrest, Marcus stood in the next-gen production facility watching the 100th Phoenix unit roll off the assembly line. The device that had started as Sophia's desperate attempt to save herself had become something bigger, a lifeline for thousands of people who'd lost hope of ever regaining their independence. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Sophia appeared beside him, moving without the hesitation she'd had after the plane crash. Her ALS progression had slowed dramatically since she'd started using Phoenix herself. Not stopped. The doctors were clear about that, but slowed enough that she could still run her company, still fight for the technology she believed in. "It's practical," Marcus corrected with a slight smile. "Beauty's in how it works, not how it looks." Spoken like a true engineer. Sophia watched the assembly line with satisfaction. "We're shipping to 43 hospitals now. The VA system just placed an order for 500 units, and the international requests are overwhelming." "How's the lawsuit going?" Victor's legal team had filed civil suits from prison, claiming Phoenix infringed on MedCorp patents. It was harassment pure and simple, but it tied up resources and created negative press. "His lawyers keep filing motions. We keep winning." Sophia's expression hardened briefly. "He'll be in prison for 15 years minimum. His company's under investigation, and he still thinks he can hurt us from behind bars." "Some people never learn." "No, they don't." Sophia turned to face him fully. "Speaking of learning, Emma's teacher called me yesterday. Apparently she's been accepted into MIT's early admission program." Marcus felt his chest tighten with pride. "She told you before she told me. She wanted me to help her figure out how to tell you without making you cry." "I'm not going to cry." "Marcus, you cried when she won the science fair." "That was different. That was—" He stopped. "Okay, I'll probably cry." Sophia laughed, the sound genuine and warm. Over the past 6 months, she'd become more than his boss. She'd become family in a way Marcus hadn't expected. Someone who understood what it meant to fight for the people you loved, who knew that strength came in forms that had nothing to do with physical power. "There's something else," Sophia said. "My grandfather wants to meet you. Properly, not just a video call. He's flying in next week for the Phoenix Foundation Gala." The Phoenix Foundation was Sophia's latest project, a nonprofit dedicated to providing free or subsidized neural interface technology to people who couldn't afford it. Emma had helped design the logo. "I'd be honored to meet him. He's been asking about you for months. Wants to meet the man who pulled me out of that plane and then stayed to help build something meaningful." Sophia paused. "He also wants to take you flying." "Flying." "He's restored a vintage trainer. Says anyone who's brave enough to run into burning wreckage deserves to understand what it feels like to actually fly rather than crash." Marcus thought about the night the plane had come down, the terror, and the choice he'd made without thinking. 6 months ago, that moment had felt like an ending the night his old life died. Now it felt like a beginning. "I'd like that," he said. That evening, Marcus helped Emma pack for the weekend trip to Maplewood. Sophia had kept her promise about the farmhouse, paid off the mortgage, restored it beautifully, kept it in trust for them. They visited once a month, maintaining connections to their past, while building their future in San Francisco. "Do you think Mrs. Rodriguez made her tamales?" Emma asked, folding clothes into her backpack with the careful precision she brought to everything. Knowing her, She's made enough to feed the whole county." Mrs. Rodriguez had returned to Maplewood after the threat was neutralized, but she video called with Emma twice a week and insisted they visit whenever possible. She'd become grandmother, friend, and connection to the life they'd left behind. "Dad," Emma stopped packing. "Can I ask you something?" "Always. Do you ever wish things hadn't changed, that the plane hadn't crashed, that we'd stayed in Maplewood, that everything was still how it used to be?" Marcus sat on the edge of her bed. "Do you?" "Sometimes I miss how simple it was. You, me, Mrs. Rodriguez, our house. No security guards, no corporate drama, no people trying to kill anyone." She looked at him with Rachel's perceptive eyes. "But then I think about everything I would have missed. The lab, my school, Sophia, all of it. And I don't think I'd trade it. Even with the scary parts. Because the scary parts meant something. We weren't just surviving anymore. We were actually living." Marcus felt his throat tighten. When had his daughter become so wise? "Your mom would be so proud of you, Em. Not just because you're brilliant, though you are, but because you understand what matters. She always said the quality of your life wasn't measured in comfort, but in purpose." I remember that. She said it when she was sick, when I asked why she kept working, even though she was tired. Emma's voice got quiet. She said if she stopped trying to make a difference, the cancer won twice, once over her body and once over her spirit. She did say that. Do you think she'd be proud of you too, for leaving Maplewood, for working with Sophia, for all of it? Marcus thought about Rachel, about the woman who dedicated her life to protecting ecosystems and fighting for environmental justice. She'd believed in standing up for what mattered even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. I think she'd tell me I took long enough to figure it out. Emma smiled. Yeah, she probably would. The weekend in Maplewood was exactly what Marcus needed. The farmhouse welcomed them like an old friend, familiar, but improved, their past preserved, while their future remained open. Mrs. Rodriguez descended on them with food hugs and a running commentary on every piece of local gossip Marcus had missed. Earl Peterson asks about you constantly, she said, pressing another tamale into Marcus's hands. Says the new mechanic doesn't know a transmission from a toaster. Earl always exaggerates. He says you could come back any time, that your job is waiting. Marcus looked around the farmhouse kitchen, the worn oak table where he'd made so many hard decisions, the window that looked out over fields that had witnessed a plane crash and changed everything. This will always be home, he said. But my life's in San Francisco now, with Emma, with the work we're doing with Sophia and everyone at NextGen. I can't go back to who I was before. Mrs. Rodriguez nodded knowingly. Rachel used to say the same thing. After you were married, after Emma was born, people would ask if she missed her old life before responsibilities. She'd say you can't miss who you were once you've become who you're meant to be. The words settled into Marcus's chest, finding a home there, alongside all the other wisdom Rachel had left behind. That night, after Emma had gone to bed, Marcus walked out to the wheat field where it had all begun. The crash site was gone now. The scorched earth healed over new growth covering the scars. But he could still see it in his memory. The burning wreckage, the unconscious woman, the choice that had changed everything. His phone buzzed. Text from Sophia. Hope Maplewood is treating you well. Diana wanted me to tell you that Victor's civil suit was dismissed with prejudice. Judge called it frivolous harassment. We won. Again. Marcus smiled and typed back. Good. He deserves everything he's getting. How are you feeling? Tired but good. Phoenix is helping more than I let myself hope. Turns out fighting for something bigger than yourself is excellent medicine. Turns out it is. He pocketed his phone and stood in the darkness listening to the night sounds of rural Oregon. An owl hunting, wind through the wheat. The distant sound of a car on the highway. Simple sounds. Peaceful sounds. Sounds that would have been the soundtrack to his entire life if a plane hadn't fallen from the sky. Marcus didn't believe in fate. He believed in choices, the thousand small decisions that added up to a life. He'd chosen to run toward the burning plane. He'd chosen to accept Sophia's job offer. He'd chosen to fight instead of flee when Victor's people came for them. And somehow, through all those choices, he'd found his way back to a life worth living. The Phoenix Foundation Gala was held in a downtown San Francisco hotel ballroom, transformed into something that managed to be both elegant and accessible. Wheelchair ramps integrated seamlessly into the design. Sign language interpreters stationed throughout. Technology demonstrations designed for interaction rather than just observation. Marcus wore a suit that actually fit. Sophia had insisted, claiming his old funeral suit wasn't appropriate for a foundation board member. Emma wore a dress she'd picked herself, sophisticated, but still young, and moved through the crowd with increasing confidence. Mr. Hayes. An elderly Asian man appeared beside Marcus, moving with the careful precision of someone who'd been athletic once and remained disciplined always. I'm Chen Wei. I believe you know my granddaughter. Marcus shook his hand, feeling the strength still present despite the man's age. Mr. Chen, Sophia's told me a lot about you. She's told me more about you. The mechanic who became an engineer. The single father who ran into fire to save a stranger. The man who helped her build something that might save her life. Chen Wei's eyes were sharp, assessing. She doesn't trust easily, my granddaughter. Her parents' death taught her that the world is dangerous and people are unreliable. But she trusts you. I'm honored by that trust. You should be. It's a rare gift. Chen Wei glanced across the room to where Sophia was speaking with a group of doctors. She's brilliant, my Sophia. Brilliant and stubborn and convinced she can solve every problem through force of will alone. But even she couldn't survive what's coming without someone who understands that strength isn't the same as invulnerability. What's coming? Life. The ALS will progress eventually. Phoenix can slow it, help manage it, but it can't stop it forever. When that time comes, Sophia will need people around her who see her as a person, not just a brilliant mind in a failing body. He turned back to Marcus. She'll need friends who stayed when they could have left, family who chose her rather than being obligated to her. Marcus understood what Chen Wei was really saying. I'm not going anywhere. Good. Neither am I. The old man smiled. Now, about that flying lesson I promised. How does next Saturday work? I'll be there. Excellent. I'll bring Emma. She should learn the principles of flight from someone who actually understands them, not just reads about them in books. Marcus watched Chen Wei walk away, moving with the confidence of someone who'd spent his life mastering difficult skills and teaching them to others. He understood why Sophia had become who she was, raised by a man who believed in precision discipline and the importance of doing things right, even when doing them at all was hard. The gala continued around him. People mingling, making donations, learning about Phoenix's impact. James Peterson was there demonstrating his Phoenix unit for a group of reporters. The Marine who couldn't hold his grandson 6 months ago was now picking up champagne glasses and making jokes about having better fine motor control than most able-bodied people. Pretty incredible, isn't it? Marcus turned to find Sophia beside him, looking tired but satisfied. It's everything you said it would be. It's everything we made it. You, me, the team, all of us together. She accepted a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. I've been thinking about expansion. Research division focused on other applications of neural interface technology. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible. You ever think about slowing down? Actually enjoying success instead of immediately chasing the next challenge? Would you? Marcus considered this. No, probably not. Because people need help, and we have the skills to help them. Stopping isn't an option when there's still work to be done. Sophia paused. But I am thinking about balance, making time for things that matter beyond work. My grandfather's been lecturing me about it for months. He seems like a wise man. The wisest I know. Sophia watched the crowd with something like contentment. Thank you, Marcus, for everything. For saving my life, yes, but more than that, for helping me build something worth saving it for. You did that yourself. I just helped with the engineering. You did more than that. You reminded me why any of this matters. It's not about the technology or the company or the money. It's about the people we can help, the lives we can change. She turned to face him directly. You reminded me what it means to actually care about something beyond yourself. Before Marcus could respond, Emma appeared with Dr. Martinez in tow. Dad, Dr. Martinez says they're developing a Phoenix application for fine motor control in children with cerebral palsy. He wants my input on the user interface design. Marcus smiled at his daughter's excitement. That sounds amazing, kiddo. Can I work with them? Like officially, Sophia said she'd pay me as a junior consultant if you approve. A junior consultant at 11? Almost 12, Emma corrected. And Dr. Martinez says I have insights their adult engineers miss because I think about problems differently. Marcus looked at Sophia, who shrugged innocently. She does have insights we need, and it would be paid work with proper supervision, not child labor. Education stipend, portfolio building, supervised experience. It's actually a great opportunity. You're both ganging up on me. Is it working? Emma asked hopefully. Marcus pretended to consider it, though his answer had been yes the moment he saw the light in his daughter's eyes. Okay. But homework comes first, and if your grades slip, the consulting stops. Deal. Deal. Emma hugged him quickly before running off with Dr. Martinez to discuss project specifics. She's extraordinary, Sophia said, watching Emma go. She's going to change the world someday. She already is, just like her mother wanted. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the gala unfold around them. 6 months ago, Marcus had been a struggling mechanic in a dying town, working himself to death for a daughter who deserved better. Now he was a foundation board member, a respected engineer, a father who could actually afford to give his daughter the opportunities she deserved. And somehow, impossibly, he was happy. Not the simple happiness of a life without problems. The deeper happiness of a life with purpose, problems and all. Marcus. Sophia's voice was quiet. Do you ever regret it? Running into that plane, knowing everything that came after. Marcus thought about the bullets through his farmhouse windows, the threats against Emma, the fear and danger and uncertainty. Then he thought about Emma's face when she talked about her work, about James Peterson picking up his grandson for the first time in 8 years, about thousands of people who would have their lives transformed by technology that existed because someone had chosen to fight for it. Not for a second. Even when it was terrifying. Especially then. Because the terrifying parts meant it mattered. Marcus turned to face her. You taught me that. When you got on that stage and admitted you had ALS, when you stood there and told the world you were developing Phoenix because you understood what it meant to lose yourself, that was terrifying. But it was also the most important thing you could have done. Sophia's eyes glistened. I was so scared that day. I know, but you did it anyway. That's what courage looks like. You would know. You're the bravest person I've ever met. I'm just a mechanic who happened to be in the right place at the right time. No. You're the man who chose to act when action mattered. There's a difference. Across the room, Emma was gesturing enthusiastically to Dr. Martinez, explaining something with the passionate intensity she brought to everything she cared about. Chen Wei had joined them, listening with the patient attention of someone who understood the importance of nurturing young minds. Marcus's family had grown in unexpected ways, not by blood, but by choice, by shared purpose and mutual respect, and the understanding that sometimes the people who matter most are the ones you meet by accident and keep by decision. What are you thinking? Sophia asked. That Rachel would have liked you. You both believed the same thing, that the point of having skills and resources and opportunity is to use them to help people. That life isn't about what you accumulate, but what you contribute. I wish I could have met her. Me too. She would have had about 1,000 questions about neural interface technology and probably would have figured out applications you haven't even thought of yet. Sophia smiled. Sounds like where Emma gets it from. Definitely. They watched the gala together, two people who'd been strangers 6 months ago, and had become something like family through crisis and choice, and shared commitment to building something that mattered. "What happens next?" Marcus asked. "After tonight, after the foundation launch, after everything settles down. We keep building, keep improving Phoenix, keep finding new ways to help people." Sophia paused. "And maybe if we're lucky, we get to enjoy it a little. Take some time. Remember that the work matters because the people doing it matter too. You thinking about slowing down? I'm thinking about balance. About not waiting until my body forces me to slow down before I appreciate what I've built." She looked at him. "About making sure the people I care about know I care about them while there's still time to show it." Marcus understood what she wasn't saying. The ALS would progress. Phoenix could help, but it couldn't cure. Sophia was making peace with her mortality, while fighting like hell to make every remaining day count. "You're going to be okay," he said. "Whatever comes, you've got people who care about you, people who will fight for you the same way you've fought for them. I know. That's the gift you gave me, Marcus. Not just saving my life, but showing me what it means to have people you can actually count on. People who stay. I'm not going anywhere. Neither am I, not yet. Not while there's still work to do." Emma ran back over, pulling Chenwei with her. "Grandfather Chen says we're going flying on Saturday, and I should bring my aerodynamics notebook because he wants to show me barrel rolls." Barrel rolls. Marcus looked at the elderly man with raised eyebrows. Chenwei grinned. "The child should understand advanced maneuvers, can't appreciate the physics of flight without experiencing them firsthand. She's 11. I started flying at 12. Emma's ahead of schedule." Marcus looked at his daughter's excited face, at Sophia's amused expression, at this unconventional family they'd assembled from crisis and choice. "Okay," he said. "Barrel rolls, but we're wearing parachutes." "Of course," Chenwei agreed. "I'm old, not reckless." They laughed together, and Marcus felt something settle deep in his chest. This was home. Not the farmhouse in Maplewood, though, that would always matter. Not even San Francisco specifically. Home was the people around him. The work that gave his days meaning. The knowledge that he was building something bigger than himself. Home was Emma's laughter, Sophia's trust, Chenwei's wisdom, Diana's quiet protection, the engineers who'd accepted him despite his lack of credentials, the patients whose lives Phoenix was changing. Home was choosing every single day to show up and do the work that mattered. 6 months ago, a plane had crashed into Marcus Hayes's wheat field and exploded. He'd run toward the fire instead of away from it, made a choice in a moment of crisis, and everything had changed. He'd lost his old life, the familiar struggle, the grinding poverty, the slow surrender to hopelessness. And he'd gained something infinitely more valuable. Purpose, family, future, a life worth living, instead of just surviving. Marcus looked at Emma, at Sophia, at the people filling the ballroom who'd come together to celebrate technology that would change lives. And he knew with absolute certainty that if he could go back to that stormy night and make the choice again, knowing everything that would follow, all the danger and fear and uncertainty, he wouldn't change a thing. Because sometimes the best things in life come from the moments when you stop being careful and start being brave. When you run toward the fire instead of away from it. When you choose to help instead of walking away. When you decide that saving one life, even a stranger's, is worth risking everything. Marcus Hayes had pulled a billionaire CEO from a burning jet. What she'd done next had given him back his life. And what he'd done in return had given them both something neither had expected to find. A reason to believe that tomorrow could be better than today, and that the best way to honor the past was to build a future worth fighting for, together.